everyone, welcome back to Emotionally Smart, Meaningful Conversation with the Gift EI trainers. So today we're going to talk about the pause button, how you can control your emotions, your feeling with just one exercise, which is pause. I'm Miti Bhatti, and today we have with us Miss Priya Lokanwala, who is an NLP practitioner, cognitive behavior therapist, psychic spiritual medium, and our emotional intelligence trainer. Welcome to the show, Priya.
Thank you, Minty.
So, since we are talking about emotional intelligence, Priya, so can you just tell us or enlighten us your journey with emotional intelligence, your professional journey, how you align with this subject?
I really feel that emotional intelligence should be started in schools. The learning, understanding. Because when we were little, nobody taught us it. And I personally started learning about emotional intelligence when I got into neurolinguistic programming, which is about how your brain works and how you process what you see around, what you feel, what you sense. The external to internal representation is what NLP is all about. So that is when I learned about emotional intelligence. And I did cognitive behavioral therapy, which is about how thoughts create emotion creates the response. The whole relationship with it.
Yes.
So I feel these are the basic things that every child, every parent, every professional working in the world should know, because emotions are the language of our body.
Absolutely, I agree on that.
And once we understand how a body communicates, we understand how we respond. Right. True?
Yes.
So emotional intelligence is not just something which is a soft skill. It is a basic training that everyone should go through to understand how your body is communicating to you and how that response or that chemistry that is being created inside of you is coming out through words, responses, actions, and how you are behaving in the world because of it.
Right, absolutely. I agree on this. Very rightly said, Priya. Understanding your emotion is just one step. And I think managing your emotion, it is equally important, right? Right. So how this, pause button, as we are talking about pause button in this episode, how it is important in controlling emotions or reactions.
Has it ever happened with you that you noticed something out of anger and instantly regretted it?
Oh yes, so many times. As far as I remember, one story of my childhood when I caught my brother, stealing my pencil from my bag. But later on, I realized that he was not stealing; he was just borrowing. But since he did not ask me for that, he did not take my permission. So I was like little, angry on him.
You sure with it later?
Yeah.
So that's the power of positivity. In your case scenario, you would have given your brother the benefit of doubt. Scenario would have been very different, absolutely, right? And that's it. That benefit of doubt comes from a moment taken to pause and think. Agree? Right? So our emotions are like cars on a highway. They speed up really quickly.
Yeah.
And self-regulation is to understand when to press the brake so that we don't crash into trouble.
Absolutely, I agree on that.
So that's the power of positivity. In your case scenario, you would have given your brother the benefit of doubt. Scenario would have been very different, absolutely, right?
So on that note, today we're gonna talk about the different techniques of regulating your emotions to pause, breathe, and then react on a certain situation.
Alright, so I'm going to tell you a few stories to which we understand this pause better. So, are you ready?
Yes.
The first one is about a boy who was named Ara. Now, Ara was a good student in school and he was an athletic person. Although he came from a background which was not very posh or high-fi, I would say, and his parents were really hard to support his schooling, his education, his athletics. They worked really hard for him as well, and he was a bright student as well. So they were very happy with how he was performing. After a match, we were at tennis, and there was this very important match to play, and all eyes were on him. He had to win a medal for the school. But unfortunately, that day he lost the match. And post losing, just threw the racket on the ground and it broke. Obviously, he was very embarrassed later on. But what is our lesson over here?
You should take a pause and then react.
Exactly. So what happened here was the anger came first and the embarrassment came later.
Right.
If he was not behaved or reacted and responded more calmly, the embarrassment was something that he will have to face. Right? That's our story, and we can all learn from this story. The second one that I want to tell you is about a girl. Right? These days, all kids are into texting, chatting with their friends. They all have access to cell phones. God knows we didn't have that in our own time. But one time, she was texting a friend, and she spilled a secret about another friend, and she asked her friend to promise her that this shouldn't be something that she discusses with somebody else. But you know how it goes.
Yeah,
Her friend
with kids are like that only.
her friend forwarded the information that she
Yes.
received. And she got very, very angry and said some really sent some really mean texts and really mean things to her. And later on, regretted it. What's the lesson here?
It's same.
Yeah. So, her instant reaction, obviously, it's not that you don't feel angry when you trust someone to do something that you say, and the trust breaks. You do feel angry, but because she sent these text messages out of anger, she lost her friend.
Yeah.
So she didn't. That instant reaction that she gave led to her fallout with her friend.
Right.
Instead, she could have, responded in a more affirmative way that about how she felt instead of just saying mean things to a friend. Right? Because we've all been there. It's not something that she did subtly or differently. We've all been in those cases which we were entrusted with some information, and by chance or by some way it gets out of our hands and we share it out of curiosity.
Absolutely.
Right? So we should be more accepting of others' flaws, and once you say something, you can't retract it. So take a pause before you say hurtful things to hurt others because you feel hurt. Right?
Very rightly said. Because that is why the importance of breathe, take a pause, and then react. Because you get a time to react on a certain situation. So it's in your hand. You want to react in an aggressive manner, or you want to react in a polite manner. So that is very important.
I have one more story, and it's about a boy in his teenage years, and kids these days, they're known for slamming doors.
Yeah.
In your face.
We are seeing in our houses,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah,
As a
right.
mother, yeah.
So that the teenage is the time in which you feel independent, yes, and you have this urge to express yourself differently, and there are times that when you make mistakes and then your parents sit you down and scold you, and you've grown up, so you don't like receiving scolding.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. But there's this, as a child, the reaction that you give of slamming the door, is it helpful? Does it serve any purpose? What are you trying to say through it? Is it anger? Is it fear of losing trust of your parents? Or is it just a reaction of this conversation is done?
Yeah.
Does it improve the situation or does it escalate the situation? And in most cases, it escalates the situation.
Absolutely.
Right. So if the way how to use your words to express yourself is very, very important. And when you're angry and when you're feeling fear, especially in this situation, the child is feeling fear that the child is going to lose the trust of their parents. They feel guilty for the action they have done, but they don't want to own up to their mistake.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's their perspective. Maybe it's not something they deliberately did wrong, right? But if they do not know how to express verbally through affirmative words and the slam doors, they know how to the situation escalate. So our purpose of teaching kids to pause so that your brain knows how to think and
Right.
respond is very important. Yes.
So, Priya, now let's talk about the science behind this pausing technique.
Maybe here's something. When your emotions take over you, it's usually your amygdala, cortical brain, which is the alarming system. Right? So it's ringing the alarm really loud, okay? And your prefrontal cortex is the thinking part of your brain. So when the alarm is ringing loud and loud, the brain is not able to think. Right? It's not able to function as capacity, right? Because it's thinking danger.
And you react
And you
in a
react.
certain way.
Exactly. In that period of time, at that moment particularly, if you pause, take a breath, right, and just think, give your thinking brain space to think, right? Give the prefrontal cortex some time, right, and space will automatically bring in thoughts that are more responsive and different options that you can choose from on how to respond correctly.
And we do feel the changes in our body as well. When
Right.
we are angry, right, we see our fist tightening up, and in anger our face become red, our eyes become red. So that way we're gonna understand about the emotion before reacting.
Very true. So it's understanding your emotions, and you are in an emotional state, just a state of mind in which your emotions are overpowering you is also intelligent. And that is what we teach. How to recognize it and then how to manage it.
Right. Absolutely.
So let me share a very simple exercise in which you can practically implement this technique that we're discussing of pause.
Oh, that's great.
Alright? So are you ready? What we're going to do is stop, breathe, and think. Cool. Right? So just think about some scenario that irritates you, angers you, right? And think that you're stopping right in there for a moment. So what you need to do is, in that scenario, breathe. Just stop. Stop everything that you're doing. Take 3 deep breaths or slow breaths, right? In which you can actually just focus on breathing and breathing and breathing. Right? So
Yeah.
3 simple breaths, right? Conscious breath. And then third thing is you need to ask a simple question to yourself, the thinking part. What is the best thing that I can do in this moment right now? A very simple yet profound question that can help you. How do I do the best that I can do in this moment? Or what is the best way to react right now? Just in this very moment in which we're anger and I hate the other person for behaving in this way with me, it is a very strong one, but I do not like what they did to me, and I'm a victim of somebody else's behavior. What is the best thing that I can do right now? And that will help you respond in a much better way.
I think this is a very, cool exercise that we should follow before. So, listeners, this is how we should follow. So, stop, breathe, and then we think.
Right? So stop, breathe, think. I have one more story to share, especially for the kids who are watching this. I was probably grade 8, and we had a unit test coming up, and I remember that I had shared a book with one of my friends in class, and as most kids are, I don't know, but I used to be a student who would read and study just on the last day.
Same.
and when I had, just a day before the test, I wanted to start reading, and when I opened my bag, I couldn't find that book. And immediately I thought, oh, I've lent it to my friend and it's not with me, and tomorrow I'm going to fail because I don't have the book. I picked up the call and yelled at my friend that, you didn't give my book back to me, and tomorrow there's a test. And but it's not with me. I'm sure I had returned it, and I said to me for 2 weeks that that's gone. And then I realized that I had kept it in another bag.
Oops.
And the Saturday we used to have a holiday, and she might have returned to me on a Saturday, and it was there in that time. I'm sure these embarrassing things happen with your kids all the time. And when you say certain hurtful things like I said before, you can't take them back. And it shows how much you trust your friend. And I'm sure I must have said I'm never trust you again. And you did this to me, and it's your fault, and that I'm not your fault. I don't know what I said, but yeah, it could have been avoided for sure.
With the right practice of
The right listening, of
pausing before reacting, waiting for a second.
how to communicate in such situations. What's the right way of communicating? Like when you pick the phone, you say hello, how are you? You ask the other person. We know there's a protocol.
Yes, and here we are not thinking about only our feelings, we are thinking about others.
Others.
That also matters, right? That is actually
There is a fun game for all of you, which is pause or react on a certain situation. How are you gonna do it? Just comment your answer below in the comment section. So situation 1 is your sibling eats your last piece of your chocolate, or your favorite candy, or toffee, or cupcake which you like, that is the favorite flavor of yours. How you wanna do? You wanna pause, you wanna react. Situation 2, your teacher blames you for talking when it wasn't you actually. There was someone else talking, but the teacher blames you for this. So how you gonna react? Here's a fun game for situation 3 is when your friends ignore your messages for 2 to 3 days and not reply. It happens, right? So just comment below and let us know how do you react or pause. Situation 3 is when your friends.
And always remember, pausing is not weak. It's being emotionally smart.
So if you like this mini activity, you're gonna love the interactive practice session we have in our gift consulting courses. These courses are based on the real life scenario. These techniques can help you to stay calm under pressure, under real life situations.
Priya, let's do it this way. Let's give some challenge to our viewers, as a weekly challenge wherein they self-regulate their emotions, right? How to respond, how to pause, breathe, and then react.
So this week for the self-regulation challenge, try out the pause button technique. Alright, so here what you have to do is every time for the next 7 days, if you feel big emotions, like anger or sadness or whatever, if it's a big emotion, something to which you feel very emotional, what you have to do is every time you feel it, pause. Take a 3-second pause. Part 2, write down what you're feeling. So naming the emotion is part 2. And part 3 is respond calmly. Alright? So for 7 days, see what big emotions you're feeling, pause for 3 seconds, name it, write it down, and number 3, respond calmly. That's your challenge.
So today we have learned with Priyal about self-regulation, the power of.
When we stop, breathe, and think, we turn messy reactions into smart responses.
So next time we're gonna talk about motivation, how to turn your tough days into winning days. Till then, stay calm, stay kind, and stay emotionally